Captain Paddy was a legendary fisherman in Newfoundland. He used to bring more cod home than anyone. He was afraid of nothing on land or at sea. In 25 years as a captain, he never lost a man. If the waves rose, the fishermen would do what they called was crossing the waves. They'd make a sign of the cross over the waves saying, "Our Lady, Jesus, calm the seas." Captain Paddy would climb to the rigging and shout to the heavens, "I'm not afraid of you." But this August gale of 1935, Paddy met his match. This story about the storm in Newfoundland and my Captain Paddy and the gale that tore apart Marystown and killed several of my ancestors, it brought our family together. This is where I write. This is where I wrote the August Gale. I have my writing family, which my daughters Emma and Nora created to keep me company while I wrote. So here is Captain Paddy with his daughter Lillian and his son Paddy Jr. This was a year before the gale. This story was told to me by my father, and it was a story he had never told anyone in 40 years, and he began to tell me about Captain Paddy, my great-uncle. My father tells me another piece of the story about his father, Ambrose, who had immigrated from Newfoundland to the Boston States, as they called them, and 10 days after the gale, he was sitting on a Brooklyn pier having lunch, and this newspaper keeps swirling around his feet as if it was demanding to be picked up. So he picks it up, and he reads the headline, 40 Newfoundland fishermen killed, and he knows every one of his family, all these fishermen that lived in Marystown, Newfoundland, were out in that storm, and that most of them are probably dead, including his older brother, Captain Paddy. In Marystown, where my ancestors lived, it killed 12 men and 2 boys. So on the south side of Marystown, a community of 300, 42 children were left without fathers. It was a very painful time for Marystown. And they still talk about it to this day. I mean, children still write stories about the August Gale 76 years later. So my father tells me these 2 stories on this February evening in my home, and I was like, wow, that's a great story. And he said, maybe we can get in touch with family. And I'm thinking, silently, family? The family you never wanted to talk about? Because Ambrose had deserted my dad, my uncle, and my Nana, not once, but twice, and for most of my father's life, he refused to talk about Ambrose. So now on this evening, he's willing to talk about family, and I went to sleep that night dreaming of giant waves and the grandfather I had never met. That was the beginning of the August Gale. Before I had written a chapter about the August Gale, my family immediately, we started talking movie because the book is a fabulous visual story. And we're still fighting over who is going to play who.
And who's going to play you?
I don't know. Somebody feisty, somebody with attitude. I'd just be happy if a movie is done.